waiting to see. We are live, actually, which is going to wait for a second here. And then I will be introducing our beautiful guest that we have this morning. Good morning, everybody, wherever you may be watching us from. This is a Stand Up Fight Back. We transmit live every Sunday via Facebook and also on YouTube. We pretty much do analysis and strategic planning for the progressive movement. We are glad that you are here with us this morning. I am Carlos Marroquin, your co host. Unfortunately, my co host, Marco Paez, is not able to be with us. She has been traveling back home to Atlanta. And we have some amazing guests with us this morning. But it is a beautiful Sunday morning here in Southern California. I am here in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, actually, and just wanted to apologize for not being on time today, but we had some technical problems. My guest on my, I guess, will be my left side or right side, Betty Faith Dumas, and she's an amazing organizer uh, here based in Southern California as well. She works with a lot of different groups, but particularly she's a member and one of the officers over at Feel the Burn Democratic Club in San Fernando. Welcome, Betty.
Oh, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. My pleasure. Very exciting times for healthcare justice organizers.
Yes, and we're going to be talking to you about this in a minute. My other guest is a longtime friend back from the Bernie days in 2016, Alberto Saavedra. Alberto Saavedra is here in Southern California as well. An amazing person. Oh my God, this guy is full of energy. You often see him out there on the streets, on the front lines, always getting involved, especially when it comes to healthcare. He's going to be joining us today, and I'm glad that he's with us because I've been wanting to have him on our broadcast, and finally we're able to do that today. Welcome, Alberto.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yes. So obviously, a lot of things happening these days, and uh, nationally, we are seeing more of the same. We are seeing the same fights that continue to happen in Washington, if we could call it that. But we are pressing and moving forward. Some good announcements that we need to mention here today. Our beloved Nina Turner has announced to run again for Congress. Very exciting because the last time she did very well, but it was a special election, and the Democratic Party, and corporate America poured, a lot of money into the other candidate, and unfortunately, she came out short. But this time, it is for the full election, and we are seeing our Senator Nina Turner already making the announcement and getting ready um, to do her campaign as she has done in the past with a lot of force, and hopefully we will be seeing some of Nina here in Southern California. But I want to bring it home. I want to bring it to California. We have a bill, a healthcare for all bill that has been moving forward. It has passed the health committee. It has passed the appropriations committee. And this coming Monday, and this is why it was so crucial to have Betty and Alberto join us this morning, because tomorrow, actually, there will be a vote. Betty, can you take us through not only the bill, but what is the latest?
Well, I'll just explain that AB 1400 is the California Guaranteed Healthcare for All Act. And what it would do would establish a single payer healthcare system in California, which basically means is that it is funded publicly, but is privately delivered. So there are a lot of people that, want to say, oh, they're very scared of government run. Well, the fact is this is pooling the money in one place. That's why they call it single payer. And All of your doctors remain the same, or if you want a new doctor, you get a new doctor. If you want to go to any hospital, you go to any hospital. That's all private. It's not a takeover of those facilities and those practices and the doctors' businesses. But what happens is that they get paid more fairly, and their money is not being extracted by the health insurance companies like they do now. Because some of these practices, these doctors, they can't even stay in their own practice because 15 to 20% is taken from the health insurance just to deal with the administrative bloat. But where we are right now, it's very exciting. The bill was reintroduced. Some people say, oh, it's not reintroduced, but it was put forth again. It was by Assemblyman Ash Kalra, who is the principal and one of the principal co-authors or assembly person. And it was reintroduced. It was heard in the healthcare committee. It passed 11-3 in the healthcare committee, and then it went on to appropriations. It passed through appropriations. Very nail-biting situations. Where we just weren't sure exactly what's going to happen, as we are not sure what's going to happen tomorrow when it comes to the floor vote. Now, I have to say something very interesting about the healthcare committee. The chair is Assembly Person Jim Wood. Now, Jim Wood, I could say, has not really ever been a single payer supporter. He's put together a lot of healthcare bills. What we would call in our, in our healthcare justice movement, very incremental bills. However, he's always thought and believed that he could work within the system of this, with the healthcare insurance companies and medical businesses, all this type of stuff. And basically, he's had a huge turnaround. He's basically said, every bill that I've tried to work with these health, and he's called them the health care industrial complex. That's very telling of his state of mind, because he's basically, everything I've done is they hold it up in court and it never gets to happen and help the people. And basically, he's tired of it. He's also sits on the healthcare, Healthy California for All Commission, which the governor put together, which they're trying to kind of like hide the findings of this commission. This commission is finding altogether that a single payer healthcare system would save us tons, billions and billions of dollars, and we would be able to get comprehensive health care that would be covering everybody comprehensively, more than what people have now. And these are the findings, and he's on that commission, and he's been listening. So he's been listening so much that he's made a turnaround.
Wow, amazing. Alberto, you have been out there on the front lines as well, working throughout. Betty, are you still talking? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I can hear you. I'm
okay.
not still talking. I stopped.
No, that's fine. So, Alberto, you've been on the front lines as well, and there's so much movement. We're gonna be going back and forth this morning because there's a lot more that we need to discuss. And thank you, Betty, for explaining this. But what is some of the excitement that you see out there in the streets, Alberto, when it comes to this bill that is different from previous bills that we have seen on Medicare for All?
Well, clearly the momentum for the single payer movement has been increasing. No question about that. I have been involved for about 15 years since I became a single payer activist. To be very frank with you, I didn't even know that there was a single payer movement. I just thought that this is the way to go. My perspective is different. I sold computer systems to United Health, and I found out what they were going to use them for, and that's when I became horrified by the private health insurance companies. You know, United Health is right down the street here in Woodland Hills, and it's the largest health insurance company in the country. So I then started looking at the single payer movement. I thought I was going to start the movement. I started doing demonstrations in Woodland Hills, to protest private health insurance companies. And the next thing you know, I'm joined by a bunch of people, and I go, "Who are you guys? How did you find out?" And it was a single payer movement that has been going around for decades. But the momentum has clearly increased. And the pandemic has made it more obvious in general and so on. And we have many other issues that have come together to make the movement much more important this time. There has been many legislations that have been attempted in the past, but this is the time that we can make history by turning California into a single payer state and leading the country into a single payer system for the whole country. And there's a lot of states looking at California and cheering for what we're doing here. And it's all going to happen tomorrow. If the bill passes the assembly vote tomorrow and it goes to the Senate, uh, the coverage it's getting in the media is amazing compared to the coverage other bills in the past got in the media. And it has been a function of activism. Many, many organizations have signed on to the movement. Many, many people that were supportive but not interested, not active, have become very active. And we have done a lot of things in the movement. All the organizations. The key issue right now is to call your assembly member and tell them to vote for AB 1400 tomorrow and make history. So that is an unusual set of circumstances, and I think that California can make history tomorrow. Of course, there's a whole process that goes after that. It has to go through the Senate. It has to be signed by the governor. There is all the, but let's not get lost in the trees. Let's look at the forest. The forest is passing this bill tomorrow in the assembly floor.
That's the next. I mean, that's the call to action right now. Because if it doesn't pass tomorrow, then there's
That's
no.
it.
Well,
Yes.
let's just say that the movement will keep on going because single payer is a no-brainer. It
Mhm.
saves money. It saves lives. It's good for business. It's good for everything. Frankly, it's a no-brainer. So the movement will keep on going. But if it passes the assembly vote tomorrow, we will make history.
But Carlos, I do want to point out the urgency there. Even though, yes, Alberto is right. We have been doing this in California for quite a long time with iterations of bills and also even a ballot measure. But the momentum over the last several years has increased even more because the fact is the current system is unsustainable for people's lives and for their wallets. And it's just getting worse and worse. But let me explain, and it will continue, and we will build more momentum with the people that have piled on this time, of course. But tomorrow is the last day that the bill can be heard to basically be sustained. So what I mean is that it has to be out, voted out and up to the Senate out of its house of origin, which is the assembly, by tomorrow. That is the deadline. So we are asking people to get on the phone and call their assembly person and let them know that they want them to vote on the assembly floor for AB 1400, the California Guaranteed Healthcare for All Act. Let me just give this phone number. It's 916 249 7470. Just put your zip code in. It'll patch you through. It'll connect you through with your assembly person's office. Leave a message if you're feeling nervous today, but just say, we need you to vote yes on AB 1400 tomorrow on the floor. Call in the morning. Keep their phones ringing. We had huge phone banks with hundreds of people asking others to call, and their phones were ringing off the hooks, and it mattered. It moved, I believe, it helped move one of my own assembly person. It helped do it. It matters when they hear from you. It matters.
exactly. Alberto, we are seeing movement on this not only amongst progressives. We know that healthcare for all affects everyone. Doesn't matter your political background. You could be a conservative, you could be an independent, you could be whatever you are. You know what I mean? We are being affected tremendously by the lack and shortage of healthcare for all, of healthcare for the people. Uh, we're talking a little bit, and what really brought my attention to you in the past because at one point you have been a very conservative person, a Republican, if you will. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because we have a lot of Republicans that do watch this program. We have conservative friends that are tired, are hurting. They're looking for answers.
Well,
Tell
you
us a
know,
little.
Carlos, I confess I used to be a Republican until about 2002. That's 20 years ago. Um, I even got involved in the John McCain campaign back in 2000. He never got to California and whatnot, but let's just say that I was at that level. I was in the John McCain campaign. The reason was, in a certain way, ideological. I used to be a big fan of Ayn Rand. I don't know if you're aware of Ayn Rand, but she
Mm,
is the philosophical basis of the Republican Party. And I used to be a big Ayn Rand follower. I even went to events uh, organized by the libertarians, in particular Ron Paul, not Rand Paul, but Ron Paul, his father, just to give you an idea. And I used to have a website called fountainhead.com in honor of the Fountainhead, one of Ayn Rand's books. But then, sometime towards the end of the century, I started thinking through the implications of what Ayn Rand used to call the virtue of selfishness. And that, started bothering me. And in combination with the Iraq War, which I strongly opposed, I started reviewing my ideological situation. And I went from being a Republican, because this is a two-party system and you have to be either a Republican or a Democrat.
mhm,
I consider myself, to be very frank with you, an independent, but a very progressive independent. Actually, I adopted a philosophy that went against Ayn Rand: pragmatism. Pragmatism is the one philosophy that emerges from the United States back in the 1800s, promoted by William James and others. And essentially, it's it's very simple. What works works, and that's why I started becoming a progressive, because I realized that there was a lot of things that were not working in this country to benefit society. Because I stopped being selfish and I started being caring about the rest of society. Because I understand that if society improves, my situation will also improve. Um, so I started becoming a progressive from a pragmatic standpoint. Um, to give you an idea, I consider myself nowadays a progressive capitalist, as Joseph Stiglitz proposed in his book. I came up with that term even before he did. But the idea is that, yes, let's do what works. And if you look around the world, single payer works. There's different systems with different approaches and whatnot. There is the Canadian system, and adopted by Taiwan. There is the British system. I lived in the UK for almost 2 years. I'm well aware of that system. I lived in Canada for over a year. I'm well aware of that system. There's the German system, there's the French system, and whatnot. But the idea is that there's not somebody that is making money from private health insurance in any of these places. And it works. They have better results with their people, and they spend massive amounts of money less than we do doing what has to be done. So it works. It's from a pragmatic standpoint, uh, single payer works, period.
Wow, well said. And uh, but look at the fact of the matter is that there are countless of people out there that are suffering right now for lack of health insurance. When we talking about Betty, when we talk about the cost of medication, where people have to ration their medication, as you have said, Alberto, this is a no-brainer. This country has enough money to be able to handle this. If we're to tax the rich, as we should be able to cover this and move on. But it's the greed of the insurance companies. It's that greed that has many people dying, literally dying for lack of health care. Betty?
Yeah, the thing is, I recall myself being in the situation where I couldn't afford medication when my husband was very ill with the flu one year. We went to an urgent care. They gave us a prescription. It was over $200. I couldn't afford it. I went back. He was sick at home. My daughter was young at the time. I went back to the doctor at the urgent care and I said, "Is there anything else you could prescribe? Because this is very expensive and I can't afford it. I don't have the money to pay for it." And she basically reinforced to me, "Well, your husband is very, very sick," like as if I was going to voila get some money out of the air to pay for the medication. And I was just like making me feel worse, actually, to be honest with you. But I was like, so I just looked at it and I said, and people don't know, not everybody knows. I said, "Well, then do you have samples behind your in your office? Because if you have samples of this medication and my husband's really sick, I can't afford it. Can you give it to me?" And she said to me, "Oh, well, I don't have the key." And I said, "Well, find it." And then I was like, and she gave me samples. So I basically had to basically strong arm her after she basically almost threatened that my husband would die or my husband would get really, really sick if he didn't have this medication, and to get that medication. And this is a situation that's putting, not a lot of people know how to ask something like that. And I don't even know how I came out of it. It was out of my sometimes when your adrenaline goes, you think of things. So I did. But this is the case for many, many Americans who ration their medications because we can't afford it. Now in California, we have 39 million people. That is a population that's larger than, I believe, Canada. We are the fifth largest economy in the world, and we are a state of the richest and most powerful country in the world. There's no reason, it's a false narrative, as the Poor People's Campaign says, that we cannot afford to lift our poor up, and that we cannot pay for things like health care for everyone. It's a false narrative. We just bundled what, $500 billion to give to aid to Ukraine in one shot. Nobody, there was no dissenting voices in a partisan situation. Everybody said, "Yeah, do that." 500 billion. Meanwhile, on a national level, you have Cinema and Mansion saying that they're not going to approve any type of social safety net increases for children to get the children credit. Nothing. They're opposing it. Opposing, keeping us waiting, waiting, waiting. And look at, I mean, literally within 24 hours, they got $500 million to send over to Ukraine. This is it's a false narrative. We have the money. We can pay for this. People are suffering. I'll say an example. Even 70% of our money, our tax money, pays for our health insurance here. We don't have much more to make up. We can do it here in California and be an example. But I also want to point out, because I did recently come across an article where Utah used its own state tax dollars to send people to Mexico to get their medications. They basically cost less for them to pay for their flight and travel expenses to go purchase the medicine than it would be for them to get to give the medication to them here in their own state of Utah, and they use tax dollars to send them there to get that medication. So it's a ludicrous situation. I really feel like that, especially when it comes to conservatives and they discuss their fiscal responsibilities and how is it fiscally responsible. This has been proven, like Alberto said, over and over again in countries all over the world. And hey, yeah, guess what? We're the United States. We could do this, and we probably can do it way better. If I want to signal some of those patriots out there that we could probably do it way better here. Maybe we can be the healthcare sanctuary instead of throwing our bombs across the world.
Alberto, I really like what you say. When we stop being selfish, you know, and start paying attention by pretty much, doing those things that we're not uh, used to doing. Not only will their lives improve of those people that we start advocating for those that don't have, our lives improve. The quality of our own lives improve by doing that,
Yeah,
right?
it's incredible that so many people still abide by Ayn Rand's virtue of selfishness. Remember, she was the philosophical mentor to Ronald Reagan. Um, Essentially, we work together or we die together. It's just as basic as that. And let's face it. There's people that only care about putting money in their pocket, and they gravitate towards this for-profit health insurance company. I've looked at that in detail. As I told you, I sold them computer systems, which horrified me when I found out what they were going to use them for. They were going to use them to deny claims, period. They were going to find things in claims that could be used to deny the claim. That was the only thing they were going to use it for. And we're talking about a lot of money and effort to do that, because they look at health not as a human right, but as a casino. They bet their money that they won't have to spend as much money as they bet. They bet they can win if the probabilities of denying claims increase. So they look at health as a casino where they can make money, not as a human right that helps people survive and improve their lives. So there's greedy people. There's always that metaphor that I borrow from the Bible, which I'm not a very religious person to start with, but even when God created the angels, one third follows Satan. So there's going to be bad people that do bad things in a capitalistic system, in a socialistic system, anywhere. There's always going to be bad people that do bad things. And in the healthcare industry in this country, they have gravitated towards the health insurance company because they make billions of dollars. The CEO of United Health made $24 million last year, according to Wendell Potter. That's a whole other story. I met Wendell when he became a single payer activist after giving up his job at Cigna as VP of marketing at Cigna. So all in all, it's just all coming together. And by the way, the poll after poll after poll proves that a majority of people in California would support a single payer system, period. There's no question about that. To be very frank with you, the biggest opposition we have is not so much the Republicans and their virtue of selfishness, addiction, and so on, but it's rather the corporate Democrats. That's what we are up against. You know, uh, Gavin Newsom got to be governor in great part because of the support he got from the California nurses and from other single payer activists. Because the single payer movement envisioned that Gavin Newsom could be the one governor that could make it finally happen. But he has been very quiet, and that's one of the reasons why I really like the idea of healthcare for all, which I'm involved with. Sent a letter to Gavin Newsom saying, well, you campaign on single payer. This is a B1400. Let's do it now. You can lead the way. There is no leadership among corporate Democrats to do the right thing. Let's hope that Gavin Newsom switches to or uh, highlights his progressive credentials for single payer. But clearly, the problem we've had so far with every single payer bill that we tried to pass over the last decades has been the corporate Democrats. Democrats that only care about the money they get from corporations to get reelected.
I'd like to expand on that a little bit if I could, Carlos. The thing is that I am a VP of a Dem Club. I also was elected as a Democratic county committee member of the Los Angeles County Democratic Party. I'm also a delegate to the California Democratic Party. And I'll have to say that I also am on a task force for AB 1400 that was put together by the chair of the LACDP, which is with Mark Gonzalez. He put a task force together just for us to be able to work on AB 1400 as a county committee. The fact is that county committees across the state have endorsed this bill, AB 1400. They've been vocal about this bill. The California Democratic Party has endorsed this bill. On the platform of the California Democratic Party, single payer is on the platform as something that we believe in and that we are striving for. And the fact is that why are our super majority of Democrats not heeding to what their own party is asking, that they believe in, that they want, what they endorse? This is the fact, is that many of them are taking money. Okay. And Gavin Newsom, though I have to say, many of them are coming along right now, because, maybe they're in, like I said, Jim Woods, how he turned around, because in the face of a pandemic, like Alberto said, that is proof that we are all interconnected with each other, that if one of us gets ill, many of us gets ill. Okay, all of us can be ill. And the fact is, we are all interconnected, and we all need to work together to help each other and help our healthcare workers, help our doctors and nurses. And so with the supermajority of Democrats, we should be easily sailing through. But we're not. So at that, you have to take pause as to who is not going to vote for this and why they won't vote for this, because that is everything. It's solidified in our platform. It's solidified by the endorsements. So you have to take note of who will not. This is a very good bill. It's been studied by healthcare, healthcare people, that scholars, and it's an excellent bill, and we all know that. So, Gavin Newsom is going to have to come along and go by his promises. Listen, I always say I always quote from the Poor People's Campaign: when you lift from the bottom, everybody rises. Just like Alberto says, like, if we all do well, we all do well. If you bring it up, if the people that are not doing well, if you bring them up, if they let them rise, you lift from that bottom, everybody rises.
Oh, I mean, you guys are hitting it right in the nail, because we need to have discussions. We need to talk about Governor Newsom and his promises. This is the time when he needs to rise. And what we are seeing that is driving voters away from voting and participating is the promises that are never fulfilled. When you say something and then you don't do it and you come up with excuses, this is what discourages people for participating. And let it be known, and it is known, the Democratic Party fails us at many, many different occasions when they promise high and deliver very low. When they say they're going to do a lot of things and they don't follow through. And I cannot think of a time when we need leadership. I cannot think of a better time when we are looking for answers, not only to the healthcare industry, but also, look at the state of housing, homelessness, you know. And Alberto is right. When people participate, when people start paying attention and getting involved, and we rise together, we solve problems that can easily be done by just, start doing what we're supposed to be doing. We can fix this health crisis by not only keeping our promises, but advocating for them. I got to give a heads up. I mean, really a shout out to those assembly members that have taken healthcare for all AB 1400, and lifted it, and actually advocating and fighting for it. Ashkara, Miguel Santiago, they've been out there on the front lines.
Yes.
And you have seen what the insurance companies have been doing lately. They have taken ads to attack them. Wendy Carrillo is another assembly member.
You
They
know,
ads, right?
you know, let's just assume that AB 1400 goes from the Assembly to the Senate tomorrow. That is when the big fight with the insurance companies will start.
Yeah.
And I understand how they function, and they will have a war room where they're going to analyze everything they can do to make it not happen in the Senate by putting out supposed independent opinions in newspapers and broadcasts and things like that. So, my thinking, this is just my thinking. I have proposed it to some organizations that I belong to. My thinking is that we need some sort of a single payer war room to fight these insurance companies. We need to come together and act together and coordinate our activities the way that they're going to do it, because they're going to put a lot of money in lobbying and a lot of money in media misinformation and all sorts of things. So phase two will start after tomorrow.
Absolutely. And there are so many things that people can do even starting now. I'm with a group of grassroots organizers that are single minded for single payer. And we have started an initiative which is called the Calcare Solidarity Project, which is basically a photo pledge. We're asking people to face up to their assembly people, to their legislators, offer their photo and their pledge, asking their assembly people and senators to actually vote for AB 1400. We are getting this to the legislators. We are actually putting it out on social media in a nice post, encouraging legislators so that they can actually see the humanity, see the people behind, not just a signature on a petition. This is your face. You're willing to put your face in front of the camera. Give us your photo. Let us put it out there and say, hey, this is your constituent. They're asking you to please vote for AB 1400. And we're going to continue that program until we can deliver a plethora of photos and pictures to the governor on, and if we can, I always have my hope and my wish is that we can make a huge quilt of everybody's face, everybody's image, and take it to the governor, unravel it at Sacramento and say, all these people might not be able to come up here to Sacramento, but this represents your state. So please go to singlemindedforsinglepayer.com, the action, singlemindedforsinglepayer.com, and do your photo petition. That's something that is very easy. I know we're in the time of pandemic. It's difficult to get out into the streets. We've done caravans with so many people taking part, but it's difficult. We understand that. So show your face and do the project. Bit.ly SM for SP-CSP. S is in Sam, M is in Mary, 4, S is in Sam, P is in Peter, dash, C is in cat, S is in Sam, P is in Peter.
By the way, so I'm all for what Betty proposes, and she and I have done things together. And I'm a street action kind of guy. I was involved in street action long, long, long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've been street action is what I do. Nevertheless, there's other things that have to happen, and one of the things that I think makes sense. We have still presidential elections in this country, and one of the features of a presidential election is the debate. Uh, and I think that one of the things that should happen is a big debate sponsored by a big media outfit, where people that are against AB 1400 are on one side and people that are for AB 1400 are on the other side. And I have some very serious candidates for defending AB 1400 in a televised national debate about single payer. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to catalyze in the background.
Well, Alberto, let me know this because I have some media contacts that I might be able to tap into and reach out to see if they be interested in having this kind of panel discussion. I think it's important. This is the kind of this is the kind of broadcast the media should be focusing on.
Yes,
Is lay everything on the table. You have nothing to hide. Let's find out who's sponsoring what advertisements. Let's see who's behind it. This is the kind of stuff that the media should be focusing on.
yes.
And let everybody stand on their own 2 feet. Why do we have to hide? Let's continue that conversation. I would like to reach out to a couple producers and see if they'd be interested and throw some names out there. Let them bring their big guns. We bring ours. And
Exactly.
go who's got what and
Hmm.
why it's necessary to have healthcare for all. And let's lay it on the table. I like that idea a lot.
I would love to see that. I don't know how anybody can really logically, because it's facts. It's just all facts. It's the reality of things, and how are you going to debate against that for sure?
My thinking is that probably the private health insurance companies will not show up,
No, there'll
and
be
that
an empty chair,
will be
right?
a picture. Yeah.
Empty podium for them.
Well, not only that, but the media themselves may not want to do it because let,
Mm,
let's face it,
Well,
they
mhm.
get the money from
well, the media is starting to take notice of
yeah.
this movement. The Sacramento Bee came out with a unusual article in
It
just a week supporting AB 1400.
You're right, Alberto. They
Yeah,
actually endorsed it. They had a
the the
editorial.
the LA Times came out and saying, I don't know about this. This is going to cost too much. The usual stuff, but at least they covered it. And there's other local TV stations and whatnot that are starting to cover AB
Mhm.
1400. So let's see what happens tomorrow.
I believe
But
that I think ABC did a little bit on it, segment on it, and I was waiting to just hear all the negativity because that's what we usually get, and it wasn't that bad. It really actually wasn't that bad. It wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad because he actually laid down out the financial part of it, which would call for like a 1% tax on your income, which literally it was a 1% tax on my income over $50,000. If you're basically 49.5, if you're making less than that, you don't have any tax. If you make more than that, then you get taxed on everything above it. Well, a 1% tax for me is a fragment of what I am paying in health insurance costs. So I'm like, glad that you showed that for real. Because I mean, if anybody's doing the math, I'm pretty sure even if you get it subsidized through your employer, that you're saving money altogether, and it's guaranteed. The fact is that you lose your job, you don't lose it. You want to change jobs, you don't lose it. And you don't have to worry about when they change the insurance policy every year. Your employer every year they change it, that your doctor doesn't fall out of network. That's what happens. They're saying, "Oh, I can't see my doctor under AB 14." No, you can see any doctor, and he won't fall out of network because that's what insurance policies do.
But so we have politicians that have changed their mind that now they're looking into this as a positive thing, as something that is doable and necessary. We have members of the media that are covering this and that are taking the conversation to levels that we have not been there before. We have people that have been dormant and sleeping for a long time that are waking up and
Hmm.
participating and getting involved. All this is good. And like Alberto said, no matter what happens, we're not going to stop until it gets done. So we're not going to go away anytime soon.
Nope,
It's
not
only
going away.
and grow and grow. Alberto, any last thoughts that you have? I really want to thank you for being here with us today, and we got to bring you more often. You add so much to this. Your knowledge, your involvement, years of involvement in the movement. We really need to have you more as our guest here. Any
I,
have
I'd be very glad. Now, as far as final thoughts, um, look, this is a historical time in California. If we pass a single payer bill, it starts moving forward. California will improve dramatically. First of all, people's lives will be saved. People will not go bankrupt. All that stuff. At the same time, the economy of California, the fifth largest economy in the world, will have as much as 40 to 50 billion dollars a year that were spent in administrative costs for health insurance companies. 40 to 50 billion dollars a year to spend in other things like climate change and who knows what else, homelessness. So if we pass this AB 1400, all these other things that have to be done to improve lives in California, to get things in a better place, will improve. So one of the things I'm hoping for is that all these other um, movements that focus in other issues realize that if AB 1400 passes tomorrow, it will be good for every progressive movement in California.
indeed, and not only progresses, it will be good for everybody
For everybody.
because it'll benefit all Californians and
Yes.
establish us as a again a leader, leading the way for the United States. Betty, anything you would like to add to our conversation today?
I just want people to take action, and always stay involved, and keep up with it. If follow Single Minded for Single Payer on Twitter. Our handles at SM for SP underscore project, SM for SP project. Tomorrow, when it's heard, if anybody wants to listen in, I'm not sure if they're going to be taking public comment. There's a possibility that that might happen. I'm not really sure about that. But if you go to the www.assembly.ca.gov, if you go to, you could find out when it's scheduled to be heard. Sometimes it's, it might be a long time that you're waiting, but to maybe even find out if, you can make a public comment for it. So I would do that. And for sure, call your assembly person, 916-249-7470. Just put your zip code in. I'm in this fight for as long as it takes because we all deserve guaranteed health care. It is so intersectional with every issue that we are faced with today. We are faced with homelessness. Some of these people are mentally ill. They will be able to get that care, maybe prevent them from being on the street. People that have addictions, they will be able to get that help, maybe prevent them from being on the streets. People that fall into poverty, if they had some sort of issue in their life, whatever it may be, and they are falling into homelessness, they will be able to get care. And we hope that that never happens, but the care will be there. Yes, it would free money up for people to be able to maybe invest in a home of their own. It is very, very intersectional. And I just wanted to tell Alberto, I might be reviving the check commercial. So I might be calling on you to be an actor in the big check commercial. I figured, I was like, somebody had told me about it, reminded me, and I was like, yeah, that was pretty, that was pretty cute. I said, let's get through the assembly, and I might revive that idea again.
I tell you, both of you guys are amazing beings, very inspirational. You guys just add so much to the movement, to who California is. You guys bring the best, of every world that you live in, and make us proud. You guys have made us very, very proud. I am honored to have you as our friend. And there are many others that are on the front line fighting. There's so many beautiful organizations that have grown out of this movement. and really are on the front lines. Healthcare for All Los Angeles, the Nurses Union, and the list goes on and on, of so many people on the ground working. So again, to recap this, we need to call our assembly members. Can any of you repeat the number where people could get?
Sure. I mean, you could go, the number that I have available is 916-249-7470. Just put your zip code in. Also, if for some reason that is not a functioning number, just go and Google,
AB
Google,
1400,
yeah,
Google.
AB 1400. It is all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over.
Um, yeah, maybe put your zip code into a Google thing and say, well, who's my assembly person? There's even websites, find your rep, California rep. There's websites. It's very accessible. Even go onto like I said, go to www.assembly.ca.gov. That will help you maybe even find your assembly's number, but definitely give that number a try. Call. Leave a message if you feel nervous, do it today. Call in the morning, get their phones buzzing, and follow, Healthcare for All, Los Angeles, SFV, Healthcare for All SFV, Feel the Burn San Fernando Valley, Dem Club, Single Minded for Single Payer. Follow them on social media because they'll be tweeting out all sorts of information for you and other ways you can get involved.
Yes. My name is Carlos Marroquin. I am here at Stand Up Fight Back. We live broadcast every Sunday through Facebook and also on YouTube. But we do analysis and uh, strategic planning for the progressive movement. We love to have you participate in the things that we have discussed here today. Our amazing guest, Alberto Saavedra, a longtime advocate of healthcare for all, and also Betty Dumas, a progressive activist and organizer here in Southern California. These are being our guests. This show today is dedicated to an amazing person that recently passed away, Larry Elgar, a longtime advocate of healthcare for all, passed away a couple of days ago. He suffered from cancer. He
Mm.
vocally said it and stated that he put in a good fight, but inspired many people. He inspired so many. Our condolences to Paula, his wife, and our movement, you know, has grown because people like him. We dedicate this broadcast to him. Rest in power, our dear brother. We have great fond memories of you, and again, you inspire so many of us. Again, you are watching Stand Up Fight Back. We do analysis, strategic planning for the progressive movement. We thank you for being with us. We thank our guests. And until next Sunday, when we are joined by my co-host Marco Pies, who's has been traveling, we
Mhm.
want to say thank you for joining us and being part of this. Don't forget to share this information that we are providing. That's why we are here so that we can give information to the public. Thank you again. Have a pleasant, beautiful Sunday.
Bye bye.